Hello and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another Investor Roadshow presentation at the Online Investment Conference. My name is Nina Frölicher from INV Communications, and I will be your moderator. Our presentation today is from Kodiak Copper, trading on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the ticker symbol KDK. Our presenter is Claudia Tornquist, President and CEO of Kodiak Copper.
Thank you, Nina. It's great to be here. I'd like to give an overview of Kodiak Copper. We are an exploration company focused on exploring for copper and gold. 2020 has certainly been a transformative year for our company. We made a discovery that created a lot of excitement, and we have a lot more in store for 2021. So it will be a very busy and exciting year coming up as well. This slide shows the famous Lassonde curve, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, and it shows the life cycle of a mining project, exploration project, and when value is created for investors typically. We are, with Kodiak, just in this yellow rectangle that you see at the relatively early stage. We have just made an initial discovery. That's where investors typically start seeing real returns. We've made our initial discovery last year and have a lot more drilling and a lot more discovery potential to be unlocked this year. So hopefully we'll be able to move up our shareholders up this curve. So for this point in time, Kodiak is about discovery. It's really a discovery story. Sometimes I get asked, when will we mine or when will we define a resource? Not in a while. Really what our investors can expect is more discovery success from us. Why are we in copper? It's a very simple answer. The fundamentals of the copper market look quite exciting and very, very unusual and extraordinary in that there is massive copper demand on the horizon. Essentially everything with green in its name requires a lot of copper, whether that's electric vehicles, whether that's green energy, solar, wind. All those technologies are very, very copper intensive, much more so than the technologies they replace. And all those technologies are growing rapidly. So a lot of copper demand on the horizon. Rio Tinto's CEO said it best. In his words, the world would need more copper in the next 25 years than what was consumed in the last 500 years. So that's the demand. What about the flip side of the coin, the supply side? There, the picture is quite stark. On this chart, you see the forecasted copper supply of existing mines and projects that are already in development or construction. And there is not very much in there, and already within the next couple of years you see declining supply, and the pipeline, the discovery pipeline, is at an all-time low. There's simply no mines that are on the horizon. In the last 10 years, less copper was discovered than in 1991 alone, which was a good year for copper discovery. So very little copper supply, a lot of demand, something will have to give, and more copper will have to be found. And that's the business we're in with Kodiak. Couple of words about the team behind the company. Chris Taylor is our founder and chairman. Many of you will know Chris from our sister company, Great Bear, which he has also founded. Great Bear is obviously a great discovery and exploration success, one of the major gold discoveries in the world in recent years, and a great success for Chris. What many people don't know is that Chris's background as a geologist is actually in copper. He spent the first 10 years of his career as a geologist drilling for copper porphyries in the Americas at Imperial Metals. So that's exactly what we do, and having Chris leading our technical work is invaluable for Kodiak. Myself, my background is more on the business, financial, commercial side. I was for many years with Rio Tinto as a general manager and worked also on some of the largest copper porphyry mines in the world, Escondida, for example, the largest of them all, and Oyu Tolgoi in Mongolia as well. So I have quite some copper experience as well under my belt. Last but not least, John Robbins is a very important part of our team. John is a shareholder and advisor to Kodiak, and John has put together the Discovery Group, the members of the Discovery Group, some great, very successful companies, Great Bear, for example, or Bluestone Resources, Fireweed Zinc. We are a loose alliance of companies, all working out of the same office, or at the moment the same remote office, but it's a great support network. It gives us at Kodiak a great network and access to whether it's expertise, technical know-how, contacts, and so on. Being part of Discovery makes us a much stronger company than we would be just out there on our own. I'd like to introduce you to our MPD project, where we made a discovery in 2020. And to start with, I have a video that gives an overview of the project.
Kodiak Copper is located in British Columbia's prolific copper belt known as the Quesnel Trough, which runs through the south of the province. Kodiak has caught the market's attention with a new copper-gold discovery at its MPD project.
MPD is very accessible. It's a 3 hours drive from Vancouver near the towns of Merritt and Princeton. Infrastructure and accessibility is obviously very important for economic potential and future development. What's great about the MPD project is its location. We are here in southern BC, where you can work year-round, and in a very established mining area. There are a number of large mines nearby, for example, Copper Mountain, or also Highland Valley, New Afton. So it's a very established mining area, and everything you need for an exploration project is right at our fingertips, which makes our work very cost-effective.
One of the things I noticed when we were reviewing the MPD project initially was the presence of copper oxides over many kilometers on surface. So what it indicated was that we were sitting on top of a major porphyry system, and certainly the right type of rocks that indicated that there could be a major discovery to be made. This project has the potential to host a major copper porphyry discovery, and of course with the drilling that we've done recently, we've shown that that's the case. Now, on initial review of this project, what was really impressive is that we had over 100 drill holes over 10 kilometers, and all of these holes have copper in them. And when we're looking at the rock, we saw the right types of rocks and the right types of features that indicated we could be sitting on top of a major copper system.
The MPD project was drilled historically since the 60s, so for over 50 years. And most of this historic drilling was very shallow, almost all only down to between 100 and 200 meters. And that is where we saw the opportunity. So we drilled deeper, we drilled down to over 800 meters, and that's where we got our first discovery hole right here at this location. It was a hole that was mineralized top to bottom and had in the middle a very nice high-grade zone. That was the first time that we saw that in this large porphyry system there are higher grade zones present.
This is some of the best looking drill core that has been drilled in this part of British Columbia. Now we're located here, we're in Merritt, and that means that in all the areas around us we have copper mines in both directions. What you typically see in this region is about 1/3 of the grade. The grade that we've drilled here on the copper and the gold side is 3 or 4 times higher than many of the mines in this area. The types of alteration that we see, the potassic feldspar alteration, the silicification, the presence of chalcopyrite, the presence of bornite, these are all indicative features of a strongly mineralized copper center.
We've made a great start and had some fantastic high-grade results early on in our drill program. We have now gained Teck Resources as a major shareholder. So now we have our work cut out. We have a large 10 square kilometer area of historic drilling and have only poked deeper holes into one small corner of it. That means lots more drilling to come and lots more potential for our shareholders to be unlocked. It'll be an exciting time for Kodiak going forward.
You see here the map where the project is located. On the inset, you see we're in southern British Columbia. The project is in a very established mining district. Lots of producing mines, also former producing mines, exploration projects in the area, great infrastructure, whether it's highways, whether it's electricity, whether it's water, everything's there that you need for an exploration program. It's obviously very cost effective for our work now, and also an important factor for future economics of the project. So great place to be. It's a 3-hour drive from our headquarters in Vancouver, and you literally drive to the project on the highway, turn off the highway, and a couple of minutes later are at the drill pad. You see here on this map a couple of historic drill results. The project has been drilled sporadically for over 50 years, always in smaller land packages and by a variety of different companies. I won't bore you with the details, but there are 2 key points to take away. The drilled area, historically drilled area, is large. There was copper and gold found over more than 10 square kilometers. And most importantly, all of this historic drilling was shallow. Overwhelming majority of the holes only between 100 or 200 meters deep, which is quite typically how you would have explored for copper porphyries 50 years ago or even 20 years ago. And that's where we took a different approach and we drilled deeper. We did that in our maiden drill program and were successful right off the bat. And I have here our original discovery hole that we came out with just about a year ago in what is now called the gate zone. So the hole we drilled is the vertical hole that you see on the left. It was down to 800 meters, had an overall intercept, mineralization from top to bottom, and an overall intercept of 763 meters of 0.28% copper equivalent. And just to put that into perspective, the neighboring mine, Copper Mountain, large copper porphyry mine, their grade, the mine grade, their reserve grade is 0.24% copper. So our discovery hole is right around that ballpark, so very encouraging. And what was even more encouraging was that we found a much higher grade zone in the middle of the hole. That's where you see sort of these longer green and red bars. And the intercepts there were, for example, 210 meters of 0.52% copper equivalent or 102 meters of 0.68% copper equivalent, so significantly higher grade than what's mined in the region. And it was this high-grade zone in particular that we targeted with our drilling last year to follow up on this initial discovery. So in 2020, we had still a relatively small drill program, in total less than 7,000 meters. And we drilled in the summer and then came out with a hole, with our first result of a hole in September. And that was a real game changer for the company. And I can show you on our next slide what the result we had at the time. So this is the hole number 4, released in September 2020. It created a lot of excitement. Our share price went up to over $3 and a lot of excitement in the market. Tech resources invested in a financing that followed and became a shareholder with an $8 million investment, obviously a great vote of confidence so early on in our exploration program. And what did we drill? You see here a cross-section, and in gray are the drill traces, and the hole with the red and green bars is hole number 4. The overall intercept was 535 meters of 0.76% copper equivalent. So that's roughly 3 times the grade of the neighboring mine. And again, like in the initial discovery hole, there was a much higher grade zone in the middle of the hole. In this case, 282 meters of 1.16% copper equivalent, and in there was even a higher grade intersect of 45 meters of 2.75% copper equivalent. So that's really quite spectacular grades for a porphyry project. We were very fortunate to be able to hit such a great hole early on in our exploration. And obviously the tech investment was a great validation of our work and a great vote of confidence in the potential of this project and the scale potential as well. So that was last year in September. It was really a game changer for the company, as I said. Since then, we've had some more results, and actually just yesterday we released the last results from our 2020 drill campaign. And on my next slide, you see some of those further results. This is the same cross-section. So you see in the middle here, the grade, the hole number 4, and around drilled from the same setup on different angles, further holes. The colors, the red and green, show the gold and copper content. The darker the color, the higher the grade. And what you can see here very well is that we hit this high grade zone that we had initially hit with our hole number 4 in all these holes as well. And so we start seeing some significant size and continuity of this high grade mineralization. We've now drilled the high-grade zone over a width of approximately 300 meters and down to 800 meters. And as I said, this was only the first small drill program. Some investors asked me, oh, have I missed the boat? You've had such a big jump in your share price. And my answer is always a resounding no. We are very much only at the start. We've only really started drilling deeper holes in a very large 10 square kilometer porphyry system. And so we have lots of work ahead of us, lots more potential to be unlocked. And obviously 2021 will be a very busy year for our company. On this slide, you see where we will be going in 2021. On the northern end of this pink area, which is a copper in soil anomaly and our target area, on the northern end you see the black lines. That's the drill traces of our 2020 drilling. So we've drilled approximately 100 meters or just over of this 1 kilometer copper in soil anomaly that is related to the mineralization we have drilled. And we will now in 2021 step out systematically to the south and work our way down this 1 kilometer long, very large copper in soil anomaly. So that's what will keep us busy at the gate zone. And we will then also move on to other areas on our project. You see on my next slide several other target areas. The area on the left, which is green and somewhat peanut-shaped, I would say, that's the gate zone where we've made the discovery. Then what's in the middle of the slide at the bottom is Dillard. That's an analogous target area, same signature, a geophysical mag low with a big copper in soil anomaly on top. Same as gate zone, and we actually had planned to drill Dillard in 2020, but never got around to it because we had so much success at gate that we of course didn't move the rig. So Dillard also very high priority for our 2021 program. And then on the right side of the map, there's also Dillard East, which is again a large target area with a similar footprint and signature as the gate and Dillard zones. So we'll have a very busy year in 2021, up to 30,000 meters of drilling planned and also some other work, geophysics, sampling, etc. And it'll be a very news-rich and exciting year as we are following up our discovery. Last but not least, our capital structure. You see on the left our share count. We have 45 million shares outstanding. We're a very tightly held company. Many of our investors really like that. Fully diluted, just over 50 million shares outstanding. We have a full treasury, more than 14 million in the treasury, so we are fully funded for all the work we have planned for this year and more. It's obviously a great situation to be in. On the right in the pie chart, you see our largest shareholders, Tech, from their $8 million investment last year. They are just over 9%, and board and management also around the 9% mark. At the bottom, our share price. As I mentioned, in the initial excitement of our discovery, our share price spiked at over $3. It has come off a bit and has been hovering around the $170 mark recently, so arguably a buying opportunity. And as I mentioned, 2021 will be a very news-rich year, lots of drilling, lots of drill results, and I'm very much looking forward to this year. It will be exciting, and I'm very confident that we'll be able to create value for our shareholders and end the year on a higher share price than we started it. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will move on to the live question and answer session. In regards to the second project in Arizona that you have coming up, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, we have another porphyry project, copper porphyry project in Arizona. It is called Mohave, and it's a very similar story to MPD. It's in a great location, the Arizona Copper Belt, with great infrastructure right off the highway, and it's neighboring the large Bagdad copper mine owned by Freeport-McMoRan that has been producing copper for decades. It's a great neighborhood. It's like MPD, also historically drilled, a lot of smoke, lots of interesting results, but the project hasn't been figured out yet. It's very much sort of the situation we had at MPD. And we have slated Mohave also for some exploration work this year, and will be on the ground hopefully later in the year. We really like that project. Sometimes investors ask me, well, will we sell Mohave now that you have had so much discovery success at MPD? And we certainly don't have any intention. We like Mohave. We think it has a lot of discovery potential, and it is, I always say, our joker in the back pocket.
When do you expect to start the 2021 drilling, and when do you expect the first batch of drill results?
The drill should start turning anytime soon. We have the crew already on site. We are at the moment, or we have spent January setting up a field office. We've moved to larger premises because we outgrew our small startup operation. So that was our January, essentially setting up the new premises, getting all the equipment. We've hired the team and are more or less ready to go, just in the final stages of preparations. So we'll announce the drill start in a matter of days. I anticipate we will start drilling and expect results of later in the spring, early summer. Our aim is to release batches of holes at a time, so not go hole by hole by hole, but rather drill a couple of holes, then release a batch, drill another couple, release another batch, because that makes it easier to convey the bigger picture and how it all hangs together. And so that's what we will be doing. But as I said, it will be a very news-rich year because we have a 4 or 5 times larger drill program planned as last year, and we could increase the size, and that'll depend, of course, on how things go and the results we see.
You talked about the discovery cycle, and Kodiak looks like it's on its way up. How long do you think it will be till we peak?
What I know is that we're only at the start, because we've so far drilled, well, just over 10 holes into a system that has a 10 square kilometer footprint. So we were fortunate to hit some really nice high grades, a high grade zone, high grade porphyry center early on in our exploration. And I'm confident we'll be able to drill more high grade intercepts and have more discovery success this year. And so I think for sure this year will be a year of discovery, and I'm very confident and really looking forward in our work program and the results that we'll generate.
How much drilling is required for a resource estimate?
It's very difficult to say because obviously it's very dependent on results and on what we find. And in a way, the more we find, the more discovery success we have in different areas of the project, the longer out in the future will be a resource. And so for now, our focus is just on discovery. We'll drill gate to drill more high grades. We'll drill Dillet, see what we can find there. We'll drill Dillet East, see what the discovery potential is there. And then sort of in a year's time, we'll have a better picture of when it makes sense to sort of home in on to work towards a resource.
Why did Teck Resources invest $8 million in your venture?
Well, we had obviously a big jump in our share price when we announced the initial discovery, and then raised some finance, did a private placement afterwards. At the time, we had a lot of interest. We had interest from institutional investors. We had board deals on the table, and we have had interest from Teck. And in the end, they offered us a great deal and fantastic terms, and they're obviously a great partner to have in the boat. And so we went with them, and they essentially underwrote the whole placement. The placement was a charity flow-through arrangement, so it was Teck taking the entire back end, almost the entire back end, and then charity flow-through on top for a total of $12.5 million.
In regards to COVID-19, has it impacted your operations in British Columbia?
Fortunately, not in a material way. We have obviously all the COVID protocols and precautions in place, but we are fortunate in that we are in a very established mining area. We have a local workforce. We have all the equipment, all the suppliers, everything right there, which makes it very easy to work even under the conditions of a pandemic, much easier than in more remote settings where you have to deal with a camp and so on, where you have much bigger challenges to contend with. So we've been fortunate in that respect, and our work wasn't materially impacted. We drilled just the same program that we would have done without.
Is there any analyst coverage in your company?
We have Cormark covering us. That's the first bank that covers us. Other than that, there are a couple of newsletter writers such as Jay Taylor or Gwen Preston or Jen Lin. And if we continue our work and drill some more good results, I think we're now sort of edging our way into the ballpark where more banks might be looking at us and considering covering us.
Have you got any substantial institutional investors yet? And if so, what are the biggest ones?
We don't have a large institutional shareholding, and that really is related to the large financing when Teck took the entire financing. Until then, until our discovery, we were a very typical small junior exploration company with mostly high net worth individuals, maybe some family offices and a lot of retail shareholders. And at our financing in the autumn, we had both options, Teck on the one hand, and then institutional investors on the other. And as I said, Teck made us a fantastic offer, so we went with them and consequently didn't get any institutional investors onto our shareholder register, any additional ones. And I think that's probably for our next round of financing sometime in the future, what I'd like to achieve to also add some good institutions to our shareholder register.
In regards to permitting, is it difficult in BC? And how are your relationships with First Nations?
Permitting in BC is a very established process, particularly in the area where we are. And it can be sometimes bureaucratic, but it's a described process, and you get a permit if you follow all the right steps. The First Nations are a very important part of our work, and we communicate with them and have them involved early and a lot. When we permit, before we even go permit any new drill sites, the first thing we do is we liaise with the local First Nations, several of them, and have them review, do a heritage survey of our proposed work sites and get their okay. And once we have that, then we permit and then we get moving. But talking to the First Nation is always the first step. And because it's a very established area, the First Nations are very technically savvy. They have some real good people that really know their mining and exploration. And it's great working with them. And it's so far been a very good working relationship. And I'm looking forward to working with them in the future as we grow the program and the work.
How closely do you work with the Discovery Group? Is it day-to-day or on a periodic basis?
Well, when we're all in the office, then I see many of the other CEOs on a daily basis. At the moment, of course, a little bit less because we're all working, or many of us are working from home. But it's a great network, and I very often reach out to the fellow Discovery CEOs if I have questions, or people call me with questions, or just to bounce things off each other. It's a great support network and a great group to be involved with.
It took a long time until you could publish the drill results from your last year. What are the reasons? Labs? And do you think it will be done faster with the new drill program this year?
You hit the nail on the head. Lab delays is what caused us to take much longer with our results than we had originally anticipated. When we started drilling, the throughput time at the lab was less than 30 days, and we had then 89 days, I think, at some point. And yesterday I was told they're up to 120 days at some labs, so incredible delays at the labs. We, for this year, have, of course, a big drill program planned, which puts us in a better position because we then negotiate with the labs and get preferential rates and get also some commitment about timing of results. And so that's at the moment ongoing.
Can you talk about the last news release and its impact on the share price?
Well, our last news release were the final 2020 drill results, which were good. We hit the high-grade zone with several drill holes and were able to show over a significant width the extent of the high-grade mineralization. So we were very pleased with the results. The market wasn't too impressed. I think it's generally a quite soft mining market in general. Several other companies that came out with good results yesterday saw the same as us, i.e. the share price going sideways or down. So the market is what it is. It's not under our control. But we were certainly very pleased with our results. I had lots of positive feedback from porphyry experts, from majors, from all over shareholders. So I think we're in a good position, and going forward, obviously, lots more work planned and lots more news flow. And as I said, in the longer term, I'm very confident that we'll be able to create value for our shareholders and move our share price up.
What kind of news flow we can expect in 2021?
Well, we have 30,000 meters planned. That's a lot of drilling. So we'll have news releases throughout the years with drill results, and starting probably sort of late spring, early summer, and then fairly regular updates with more drill results throughout the year. We can work year round, so the drill will start turning now, and then we'll work until the end of the year and beyond.
How has your experience with Sandstorm impacted your experience with Kodiak?
My time as Vice President of Business Development Sandstorm was a very good time and a great learning experience, because obviously it gave me a lot of experience in the junior mining sector, which coming from Rio Tinto I hadn't had. So it was a great learning experience, and the Sandstorm team is obviously a great team and a great introduction to the Vancouver junior scene.
Claudia, I think that wraps up our live Q&A questions for today. And now, before we close our presentation, I'm going to turn things over one more time to Claudia for some final remarks.
3 things to remember. Well, the first one obviously is we made an exciting discovery in a great part of the world, high grades and real size potential, and attracted a major resource company, Teck Resources, in the process. What's another thing to remember is that we are only really at the start. We've only drilled very few holes into a 10 square kilometer system, so lots more to come, lots more discovery potential to unlock. Lastly, I would highlight the team, and particularly Chris Taylor, who has great porphyry experience and obviously has made our sister company a great discovery success, big returns for shareholders, and we are following hot on the heels with Kodiak Copper. Thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure joining you.
Thank you, Claudia. Today's presentation was from Kodiak Copper, trading on the Toronto Venture Exchange under the ticker symbol KDK. Our presenter was Claudia Tornquist, President and CEO of Kodiak Copper. I am Nina Fröhlicher of INV Communications.